Steve Irvin joining us via Skype this morning. You're at home recovering from skin cancer surgery. So glad you're back on the air with us. How are you doing?
You know, not too bad overall. I mean, it was a little bit painful going through it, but mainly I was off the air just because I've got this thing right here. I'll show you. Can you see this? It's about a 2-inch scar that kind of goes across the top of my forehead. And I think one of the things that was most shocking about this is that it was really just a little red spot. It didn't look like much at all, and it turned out to be a fairly minor skin cancer, but a major procedure to actually remove it.
Steve, did doctors figure this out right away, or was it dismissed as being something just to watch for a while? How did this come to be?
It was certainly something they watch, and generally they don't want to do what they had to do with me initially. So I went to the doctor's office, and if you've ever been to a dermatologist, sometimes they'll zap you with a liquid nitrogen, and it kind of burns, and it's meant to take off little spots that may be precancerous. They did that for a while. They tried some ointments, and none of it was working, and the spot was growing, so they decided to do what's called a Mohs procedure, which is supposed to be fairly non-invasive. But in my case, they actually wound up taking out a spot about the size of a quarter on my forehead, and then they had to have a plastic surgeon come in and actually seal everything up so that I don't wind up with something that's more disfiguring.
Yeah, Steve, I've been there. I had a mole removed off my back when I was 13 years old, and they basically took that liquid nitrogen, and I just remember going in there, and I was so incredibly scared. Talk to us a little bit about what was going through your mind.
Well, you know, I guess I was one of those people who had a lot of misconceptions about skin cancer. You know, I didn't think this was that serious, and if it was something that turned out to be cancerous, and eventually a biopsy revealed that, I didn't think that it would be a big deal, that they could slice it off and I'd have a bandage and I might miss a day or two of work, but overall it wasn't going to be a big deal. I didn't know it was going to involve surgery. I didn't know that it was going to involve something that ultimately looks like this. And I think in talking with the plastic surgeon and talking with the people that perform some of these procedures, they say that's a pretty common misconception, that people tend to look at these things, they see a skin irregularity, and they'll let it go for a while, and that's exactly what happened with me.
And Steve, I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but you're not the type of person that walks around with a deep, dark tan or seems to spend a lot of time in the tanning bed every day, and that's what I think. I mean, maybe that's my big misconception. Do you hope people get that message that it's not just those people who are susceptible?
Yeah, I think living here in Arizona, what we probably don't realize is that, and Amber, correct me if I'm wrong, we're 300 days plus of sunshine in Arizona every year. I mean, just walking to your car, just to spending any time outdoors, you're constantly exposed to this kind of stuff. And if you're not constantly using sunscreen and constantly protecting yourself, you're going to get a lot of that sun exposure. It's not something necessarily for people that are just sun worshipers or people that go to the tanning beds, although, of course, none of that stuff helps either. I think it's one of those things where people don't necessarily believe that they're really getting this much sun and this much exposure, but it all adds up.
Yeah, and Steve, your piece will air tonight at 5 o'clock. Basal cell carcinoma, the most common form of skin cancer. We appreciate you joining us via Skype.
Yeah, and
Thank you guys. Good day.
Thanks, Steve. I just want to mention, too, we've been talking about these UV alerts, and that is so important because we all, like Steve mentioned, don't really realize how much we're in the sun. So yesterday was a UV alert, today is a UV alert, so just make sure lots of sunscreen, hats, sunglasses, all of that, so important.